Broadcasting furry truth and great recipes from a small comics box in secret. This is Furry Frequencies, your favorite furries on the highest frequency. Welcome and good evening to another exciting episode of Furry Frequencies. I'm your host, Lifty, and joining me this evening is also my co-host, Silox.
Hey, how's it going?
And tonight we are going to talk about a very controversial and very disturbed individual who has decided to bring themselves back to the fandom when nobody asked. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows who we're going to be talking about this evening. Yeah. Their name is, their name rhymes with zero.
Well, they are a zero, so...
Yeah, their name
checks out.
Yeah, their name starts with a K and rhymes with a zero. And but anyway, so I'm just gonna long story short, we're gonna be talking about Kero the Wolf this week because everybody's had their say about Kero the Wolf and how he's come back to the fandom after 2 years. And not everyone is happy. And for those of you who are, what the fuck is wrong with you? But first, I just want to mention, YouTube is going to rate our episode mature now because I said the F word. But anyway, I do want to start off by mentioning that if you would like to join in the conversation continues on our Twitter page at Furry Frequency. And also, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to our videos on YouTube and hit that bell for notifications so that you know when our next upload comes up on our YouTube channel. We do sometimes read YouTube comments, and so, we do appreciate when people leave a YouTube comment because sometimes it tells us where we need to do better, and sometimes it's just, hey, you're doing a great job, and it's like, oh, wonderful. We love hearing that from you.
We do.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about Kero the Wolf this week, and I really don't want us to talk for an hour about Kero because I'm pretty sure there have been a lot of voices that have already spoken out about Kero the Wolf. If you don't know who Kero the Wolf is, get ready because we're about to tell you some things. But I don't want to talk too much about Kero this week because I want to talk about a lot of things regarding Kero the Wolf. Kero the Wolf really doesn't strike me as the disease in the fandom. He is just a symptom, in my view. And we're going to be talking about the large, or the bigger picture here regarding Kero and what he brings to the fandom, if anything. Probably nothing. Nothing positive, I can tell you that. But let me just set the scene for a minute. Earlier in the month, Kero the Wolf made an announcement on YouTube that basically was just titled "I'm Back." And when this hit YouTube, of course, you had a lot of people that were just grimacing. But you also had a lot of people that were like, "Oh my goodness, Kero, you're back. I was so glad that you see you again. I'm so glad that you're making videos again." And I'm just like, are you serious? These people have no idea what the fuck was going on with this dude for the past 2 years. So he's continued to make videos. He made one about cancel culture and how it's affected him. He also made another one saying how he's declared victory, more or less.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But at the same time, he's also been having some people in his inner circle who have been curating his YouTube comments and removing the negative ones, just leaving the positive ones, So that's why it looks like he's like ratioed so well, but in reality, no, somebody's curating his comments.
Of course they are, because he has to put on this this front that it's him against the world, and a lot of people like him more than hate him. It's to confuse and gaslight his own viewers, especially the younger ones, which are very impressionable.
Well, that's what I was thinking when I saw that he was back. It's like, oh, okay, so he's going after the young, impressionable, and stupid. Well, stupid is the worst term for this, but the people that don't know who Kero is, what he's about. If all they saw were his videos of him doing shenanigans in fursuit, then all those people are going to be just thinking, oh, everything's a-okay now, because they're going to believe every single word that Kero says. But so going back 2 years ago, there was evidence that surfaced that Kero the Wolf was part of a larger zoo sadism ring regarding several individuals, some of whom have actually been arrested for bestiality and crimes against nature. And Kero, on the other hand, has tried to skirt through the allegations and say, no, I didn't do anything. Even though there were logs posted, there were presumably video evidence, there were definitely photo evidence posted, and I couldn't look at those photos really. I know they were posted. I know where they were posted. I couldn't look at the photos. There was one photo that showed what looked to be him in his fursuit head and nothing else. And I was like, ugh. Like, I'm not here to body shame or anybody, but no. But at the same time, Kero, you're kind of digging yourself a hole here. And for the past 2 years, Kero has tried to deflect the allegations and has tried to carry on thinking, oh, well, this isn't me. This isn't what I do, blah, blah, blah. I'm innocent, blah, 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 blah. I don't fuck animals. I don't fuck dead deer, blah, 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 blah. And more just kept on surfacing. It, of course, so all of this, of course, led to investigations with other people within the circle that he was in, the zoo sadism ring. And one of those people was named Levi Simmons, I believe, or also known as Snake
Thing. Yeah.
Levi was actually investigated and caught with or caught with evidence of bestiality, and he was actually arrested. So it's been a crazy 2 years, and Kero alleges that he was also investigated by the Pennsylvania State Police and also the New York State Police. They have confiscated his electronic devices. They went through them all, and they found nothing. Well, now that we're in 2021, of course, Kero shows back up, and his orbiters bring up these bullet points. It's like, well, if Kero did it, why isn't he in jail? Levi Simmons is in jail. He was in the ring. He was involved in all this, and he was mentioned in those logs that everybody keeps mentioning, but not Kero. And then he went on, and it's like, oh, those logs were manipulated. Those logs had to have been manipulated by somebody who doesn't like me. Even though he knows Levi. He knows Snake Thing. He was talking to Snake Thing. They were sharing, according to his first video, they were sharing feral porn So feral art, they had a connection with feral art, and they talked about feral art and shared feral art, but at no point did it ever cross the boundary into real life zoophilia. I mean, I just find this incredible. I find this incredible that he tries to deflect on that. He tries to say, well, that's not me. I didn't do that. And all of this is fake. All of this evidence is fake. And, you know, he does mention Levi Simmons. He does mention Snake Thing. And he says, oh, he's just an acquaintance. He's not really a friend or whatever. We just shared some feral porn and fapped together to it. But that's it. Silas, what do you think? What do you think? I want to hear from you.
I think Kero is a disgusting piece of shit, and the fact that he had the audacity to come back to this community after being told by a whole bunch of people, and when I say a bunch of people, I mean 98% of the fandom, to pretty much fuck off. The fact that he had the audacity to show his ugly ass up and say, "Hey guys, I'm back," says a lot about him and his intellect as a whole. He doesn't strike me as the brightest bulb in the drawer. He doesn't strike me as someone who has a lot of shame. Because if he had a lot of shame, he would have stayed gone. He would have read the room and realized, okay, I don't have a reason to come back. I have been shamed, I have been outed, and everybody knows that I am a zoophile, zoo sadist, whatever term you would like to use. Your mileage may vary. Anybody else would have stayed away. Because this man has a large ego that needs to be stroked, he decided to show up and come back as this shining example of what happens when cancel culture goes awry. I'm sorry, I wasn't under the impression that zoophiles were canceled because of the fact that they fuck animals. No, you weren't canceled. You were swiftly shown the door and told to fuck off. Mm-hmm. That's not canceling. That's holding you accountable for being a disgusting piece of shit.
Yeah.
And the fact that a small minority, are defending him says to me that they either have not read what's going on with him, they do not care, or they're young. It's one of those three.
Now, hold on a minute. I'm saying that there are people out there, like super fans of Kero, that heard about these allegations, have seen everything, and heard everything from Kero's point of view. Therefore, they believe Kero. They believe Kero wholeheartedly and are trying their best to answer every single criticism about Kero and say, "Oh yeah, that's been debunked. That's been faked. Blah blah blah. Kero is innocent. Blah blah blah." That's all you need to know. They believe every word that Kero says, and
then that to me says that they are so far up his ass that they might not be savable. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are practically idolizing and worshiping a dog fucker, and that's disgusting. Yeah. And they need to check themselves because that to me is so bizarre. And this is what this is what angers me the most, and what I've seen people say. Oh, well, you know, he wasn't charged. The cops didn't arrest him. So clearly he's innocent. No, that's not how it works.
So I want to elaborate on that bit because there were no charges filed on Kero for a very basic reason. And the basic reason being that, well, there's actually two reasons why. One of the reasons is because a lot of these charges are outside the statute of limitations. You gotta imagine that even for a pedophile, you have to like amass a massive amount of case, and you have to go through a lot of evidence before you can finally amass a case big enough to get a warrant, get a search warrant, seize items for more evidence collecting and then arrest the dude. It takes months to years to collect all of this evidence. And I really wish that we had a lawyer on retainer for this show, because they would be able to clear it up so much better. But it doesn't happen instantly. And it certainly doesn't happen if the evidence happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. At that, the longer it takes, the less chance that the police have to be able to make a case out of it, because of course they need the time to build the evidence, and the longer it takes, the less evidence they can gather. So that's one claim that says, oh, well, he's innocent because of statute of limitations. Well, no, not necessarily. Just because you were not charged due to statute of limitations doesn't mean you didn't do anything.
To put it like this, I can go out tomorrow and I can kill my neighbor, and the police could never arrest me. Does that mean I'm innocent? No, just means our justice system failed at its very core. Kero is a product of a failed justice system. He is guilty as can be. However, because of technicalities and parental interference, he got off.
That's another thing.
That does not mean he's innocent.
His parents refused. His parents refused to cooperate with the police on this investigation. They forgot the police could not search the premises that they wanted to search because their parents told the police to fuck off. Which I didn't like. How do you do that? How do you just tell the police, yeah, fuck off?
They probably didn't have a warrant. That's why. If they had gotten a search warrant, then they could have said fuck off. But they were likely acting on tips that people sent them, but they didn't have a search warrant. At which point you are legally able to say, and I'm probably wrong with this. If I'm wrong, someone please tell me. But at that point, you were able to say, okay, yeah, I don't allow you to come into my home. But if they had a search warrant, then there's no right. Then there's no legal way they could have said fuck off to the cops.
Mm-hmm.
So that again is a problem. That's again a failure of our justice system, and it has allowed people like Kero to fall between the cracks and get off. I mean, OJ likely killed somebody and got away. Does that mean he's innocent?
Well, that's neither here nor there. We're not going to be bringing up the OJ case here.
Yeah, but I'm just saying though. Like I said, you can do a lot of shit and not get caught for it. That does not mean you did nothing wrong. It just means you got off. So Kero is very much guilty, but he's also a lucky son of a bitch.
One other thing that Boozy Badger actually noted in one of his tweets is that a lot of these charges that were brought up against Kero aren't actually offenses in Pennsylvania. For instance, owning zoophilic pornography, it's not an offense. It's not a criminal offense in Pennsylvania. Abusing an animal in another state is not a criminal offense in Pennsylvania. And of course, having sex with dead animals, i.e. roadkill, is not a criminal offense in Pennsylvania. Who the fuck would ever want to put this in the penal code? Like, I want to meet the senator or the representative who says, oh yeah, this is missing from the penal code. Let's add it in. Like, how does that come up in legislature? But this is a point, though. He's getting off on technicalities because, well, our justice system did fail. Our justice system let Kero fall through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what everybody is saying is why he's innocent, because they let him slip through the cracks. I'm still saying that just because Kero slipped through the cracks doesn't mean he didn't do anything. It is very much possible that he did do things, and he could still be doing things, even though, nobody's investigating him right now. Just because it's not in the penal code doesn't mean it's not a heinous thing to do. Like, fucking roadkill. Like, dude, what is wrong with you? This is not something a normal person would actually do. This is not something that a normal person would think is normal. This is not something that would be accepted in the furry community or even as a fetish. We tend to give a lot of things a slap on the wrist because they're fetishes or people fetishize about them. But this is one of those things that shouldn't be. These things are certainly some things that should never be considered a problematic kink, like some certain furry journalist tried to call. I'm not going to name his name, but they know who they are. But these things shouldn't be considered problematic kinks. These things should not be considered kinks at all. They are products of a very unclean mind. They're of a very unstable mind. And of course, Kero has never once admitted that he needs help. That he's never once admitted that oh yeah, I might need some like psychiatric help, or I might need a therapist to talk to about these things or these instances or these tendencies. No. What we hear from Kero is that, oh, I did nothing wrong. I'm innocent. I'm an innocent being. Let's get back to how things were. That's all I'm hearing. He doesn't admit that he did anything wrong. He doesn't admit that he was ever in the wrong.
To me, again, it goes back to more of an ego thing. He has a massive ego, and that's given because of what he was able to accomplish as a YouTuber. And of course, he's going to stroke his ego. However, he fails to realize that there is a lot of damning evidence that suggests that he is undoubtedly a zoophile. And if someone had pointed to evidence that said I was a zoophile, I would be shocked and mortified. And the last thing I would do is run back to a community that I used to be a part of. I would go seek help. I would get help and I would complete it. He is a very sick individual, and he needs to go and get help. And stay the fuck away from the furry fandom afterwards, because he has no place anymore.
Yeah. So, I mentioned earlier in this podcast that Kero is a symptom, not the disease. And I want to elaborate on that while we have some time. Kero is part of the problem, but not the problem. Now, I know that he made a video about cancel culture. And I'm sorry, Kero, but you are not a victim of cancel culture. So stop it. Get the fuck off your silly high horse and go the fuck home. With that said, however, I want to note, what on earth has cancel culture even accomplished in this fandom since we started canceling people left and right? If cancel culture can't keep somebody as sick and heinous as Kero out of the fandom, what good is it? And I can bring up examples all day. Look at Growly. Look at Jay Sonafex. Look at Odin. All these people cancel. And what do? They're still in it. They're still here. They're still making content. They're still furries that love them. Some people are getting canceled wrongly. They don't deserve to be canceled, and they're still in it, but they're suffering through it because the same people that are trying to cancel will not leave them alone. And they will hound them until they finally decide to leave the fandom, burn their fursuit, and never go on Twitter again. So what does cancel culture accomplish if it can't even keep the most disgusting people out of the fandom? And yet we still use it as a way to gatekeep and a way to curate who's in and who's out. Can we actually discuss this?
So, I'm going to disagree with you here.
Go ahead.
I'll say this: cancel culture does not exist. What you're seeing is people are being held accountable for being people for doing things that are otherwise would not be acceptable anywhere else. You would not in real life walk up to somebody and say, "I hate you because you're a fucking Jewish slur." I'm not going to say the Jewish slur, but you would not say that.
Well, just say as a slur. Any slur. It doesn't matter.
A slur. Someone being held accountable for that is not canceling. You're being held accountable for your actions. Mm-hmm. You were held accountable for your actions as a kid. You were held accountable for your actions as someone when you were in grade school if you did something wrong. That's all this is. People are being held accountable for their actions. Now, some may say, okay, that's a fair point, but some take it to the nth degree where they go back and search what people have posted years and years ago. To that, I'll say maybe that's excessive, but that's not quote unquote canceling, because to cancel, that means to remove. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing: you cannot remove someone from the furry fandom. You cannot remove someone from society. Mm-hmm. Well, you can. That means putting them in jail, but that's different. You cannot remove people from society from a metaphorical sense. So when people say, "Oh, cancel culture," no, it's people being held accountable for their actions. If you say something that's reprehensible, you need to be held accountable. That's all it is. If I tell my boss to, go fuck himself, you disgusting white piece of shit, I had better be held accountable. If not, I would be concerned because, oh my God, we've gotten to the point where racism is okay. No, I should be held accountable. That no one's canceling me for that. It's holding me accountable. So for some of these furries, like your growlies and your diesel raccoons, they're not being canceled. They're being held accountable for being disgusting assholes. So I mean, especially Diesel, like, good lord, that is a disgusting asshole.
Plates you making you busy around.
Yes, like he self dunks constantly.
He did that to himself. He absolutely did that to himself.
Yes, that's not him being canceled because again, he's not being removed from the fandom or society. You can't do that. As I just
said. My claim is though that none of these people are being removed.
Well, you can't, because the fandom is not a membership. It's not a club. It's an
open society.
Yes, it's a group. It's a shared interest group. The closest thing you can get to removing them is banning them from conventions. And no one is going up and saying, hey, I want you to ban Pepper Coyote from conventions because of a dumb tweet he said about skipping vaccine. No, because no com will do that, because that's dumb thing to do. Now, Kero, that's different because he is a predator, and we all know that. Yeah. Growly, Diesel, yes. But if someone says something just really dumb, they're not being removed. They may get the piss taken out of them on Twitter, but they're still there.
Yeah.
So when I see people say cancel culture, I just roll my eyes, because that to me again replies that, okay, you're actively canceling, which means removing them from something, and they have no place at all. But they don't get removed. They're still there. They just take a hit in public opinion and they move on with their lives. Yeah. So I mean, if it was different and we all got sent to a gulag for saying shit that didn't jive, okay, then I'd believe you. Then I'd say, okay, yes, that is canceling someone, because that person is actively being removed and we don't hear from them again. But being held accountable, being told, hey, your opinion is shit. Look, we're all entitled to the fucking opinion. I get that. But if that's the extent of it, I wouldn't call it canceling. I'd call it accountability, and maybe people taking it too far because for whatever reason they enjoy that. Now, in terms of Kero, he's being held accountable, as he should. And I am happy to see people in an almost united front tell him, no, you are not allowed back in our community. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I'm just shocked at the absolute audacity of that motherfucker, Kero.
It's his ego, man.
Just stroll in and say, "Oh yeah, I'm back," and then flip his shirt where his nipples is, and like
it's his fucking ego. He thinks that he can do whatever.
You're just gonna just walk your ass in here like you didn't do shit for 2 years. After laying low for 2 years, you're just gonna show up here, strutting your stuff like you're a fucking peacock, and think, oh yeah, let's just get right back to how we were. No.
I mean, he timed it. He timed it right. Like, he timed it right.
He timed it just right to the point where he knows that the furry fandom is starving for content, and content creators are just kind of like they're kind of having a trouble keeping up with content because there's no cons, there's no meets. People don't want to go out. People don't want other people coming to their house to do videos or TikToks or whatever. So there's a shortage of fursuit content, and furries are getting burned out. So he timed it so that he's just like, oh yeah, I'm back. Wonderful. Let's get back to my content.
But
no.
Wouldn't you say though that it's a double-edged sword? Because while he's coming back at a time when there's less content, the fandom also has nothing to talk about, and so people are laser focused on. Yes, they're laser focused on certain things now, and that is not good for him because everybody's now focused on you, and so you're just getting the piss taken out of you. Yeah. Now, if
as he should be,
yeah,
because I don't believe that he's innocent for a second.
Oh, of course not. Now, I would say if this were any other year without a pandemic and you had cons going on, content being made, you would probably see you would still see blowback, but I don't think it would have gotten to this level. People might have just said, okay, fuck you, but gone about their business. They would have ignored him. But because there's nothing going on, because of a pandemic, well, there's something to talk about. Zoophiles walking back in.
Yeah.
So,
and then I also want to touch on the bigger picture of this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, of course, zoophilia and pedophilia in the fandom. Don't make fun of how I say pedophile.
I buy it.
Okay, cool. Because it's distasteful. At the very least, it's very distasteful. And at worst, it's extremely disgusting and very disturbing to be a zoophile or a pedophile in this fandom. And I'm sorry, but you are not welcome in this fandom. You never will be. So don't try. I want to talk to everybody else, though, because I feel like for the past couple of years, we have lost focus on the zoophiles and the pedophiles in this fandom. We've lost focus on the predators. The predators were always the people that would harm us the most. They would actually go after us. They would go after the most vulnerable people in our group and harm us. And I think we've lost focus. We've pushed trying to rid our community of those people and trying to send them to the authorities, trying to get them actually taken care of the right way. We've lost sight of that for the past 2 years and pushed them into a lower priority. And I'm asking why. These people, again, prey on the most vulnerable within our communities. Pedophiles, they go after young people, minors who probably didn't know or don't know anything about sex. and thus they can't actually bring up a coherent way to consent to it. They don't know what they're doing. They're just taking cues from adults that they admire. So that leaves them in a vulnerable position where they can be harmed. In zoophiles, I'm sorry, I don't care what you say, zoophiles, but you cannot tell me that an animal can coherently consent to you ever, because an animal does not speak the same language that we do. You can't just go up to an animal and say, hey, you want to fuck? No. They're not going to respond in a way that you can understand, and they cannot understand what you're saying to them in a way that they can coherently give an answer. They cannot coherently give consent to whatever it is you want. So if you want sexual favors from an animal, you're a sick human being. You can't get coherent consent from an animal. And again, minors and animals, they're vulnerable. They're two vulnerable beings that we have problems with when it comes to problematic individuals. Those are the problematic individuals. Go after those beings, those vulnerable beings, to harm them. And if you don't think that zoophilia does any harm to the animal, let me just tell you a story. And for those of you who don't want to hear this story, because it kind of touches on bestiality a little bit, but if you don't want to hear it, just skip about 3 minutes forward on this podcast. You'll jump back to the main point of the story. But I was actually listening to a story from a police officer who told me that their department got a call from a lady once who is reporting a man who is alleged to have been partaking in sexual conduct with their dog in a dog park. And that's where the needle just scratches. It's like, this isn't in their home, this isn't in their backyard, this is in a fucking dog park where everybody goes. So the police officers were called to the dog park. The dude is still there with his dog. The dude has his pants pulled off, he's on all fours, his ass is bare. The dog is just sitting there, just wondering, oh, well, what am I going to do? Oh, hey, officer. He's not doing anything. The dog is not doing anything. But the dude definitely wants that doggy D. The dude is arrested. He's got all these charges lined up on him. But there's one charge that he's not charged with, and that is animal cruelty. Animal cruelty, and I think he's not charged with animal cruelty, or I think bestiality. The reason being is that the officer did not observe the dog actually partaking in sexual acts with the dude, even though the dude was definitely just like on all fours wanting some dick in his ass. And here's the heartbreaking part about this story. Everybody can come back to the room if you have left. But here's the heartbreaking part that really drives the matter home. So the dude was charged and was found guilty with all of these. And he's on a sex offender registry, by the way. The dog, on the other hand, was surrendered. First of all, it was taken away from the dude. And the dog was surrendered to animal control. Animal control euthanized the dog.
Oh no.
Yeah. So the reasoning why is because animal control believes that dogs that partake in or that are trained or conditioned for sexual intercourse are traumatized by it, and are traumatized to such a degree that they cannot enjoy a normal life with another family. They will always have behavioral problems from that point on. And these behavioral problems are very, very difficult to actually train out. So what animal control does is that they euthanize these dogs out of mercy. They believe that it's much easier to just euthanize the dog than to have them go through a life of trauma with another family. And I'm saying this because zoophiles live in ignorance, thinking that they love animals. This is not love. Training and conditioning an animal to have sexual favors with you in a way that they cannot coherently consent to your favors. And then when you're caught, the animal is euthanized due to the extreme trauma of performing sexual acts for you, is not love. It's a death sentence. I hate when zoophiles believe that they are saying that, oh, well, we love animals. We would never harm them. You are harming them by partaking in sex with them. No matter what you do, you are harming the animals. And then we have people who say, oh, I'm a non-practicing zoophile. Stop. If you say that you're a non-practicing zoophile, you know what you're doing? You're encouraging somebody to become a practicing zoophile. Let me repeat that. Non-practicing zoophiles only encourage other people to be actual practicing zoophiles. And so it only perpetuates this sick cycle of zoophilia that has run rampant in our fandom. And even worse is the stigma that affects us. The people that don't fuck dogs, that don't fuck animals, don't fuck children. That stigma sticks to us because we're in the furry fandom. It's a reciprocal effect. We are victims of the reciprocal effect, or the residual effect of somebody like Kero being in the fandom, knowing full well what he did, when everybody knows what he did. We are affected. That's why so many people were speaking up and saying, no, get the fuck out. You know what's even worse? You know what's even more amazing about this entire story?
What?
So I was doing a little bit of snooping and found out that there was some dude that is an actual zoophile. I don't know whether they're practicing, non-practicing. It doesn't fucking matter. They have the Zeta symbol in their name on Twitter. They have the hammer and sickle of communism. That tells me everything I need to know. And they call themselves a zoosexual. And they said straight up, Kero will never be accepted in the zoo nor furry community. And I'm like, damn. Not even the actual dog fuckers will accept this piece of shit. So maybe take this as a hint, Kero, that you should reevaluate your life at this moment. And just think about just how far you fucked up to get to this point where not only did the community that you used to be with and create content for doesn't want you anymore. They don't want your content. They don't want you. They don't want your face. They don't want your fursuit. They don't want your voice. They don't want anything from you. The furry community wants nothing from you. And here you are barging in thinking that you can barge in like anybody's house and think, oh, this is my house too. And then just prop your feet on the damn furniture like it's your damn house too. No, we don't want you in here. You've already shown enough times that you don't care what we think. Why do you care about creating content for us when you know we don't want you? We don't care about you. We don't like you. And then on top of that, the community that you would have been accepted in, the dog fuckers, even they don't want you to after you've kind of brought it out in the open that you were part of this zoosexual ring, zoophilia ring. And all these people, one by one in the zoophilia ring, they were charged, they were tried, they were arrested, but not you. And so you bring upon this zoophile community a lot of unneeded attention, even though zoophiles, they definitely strut around thinking, oh yeah, I love fucking dogs. I don't know why. Like, who the fuck is proud of this shit? Seriously. But at the same time, we as a community really need to do better and put zoophiles and pedophiles as like the top priority of being on watch for. Because I think we've lost that focus. And that's why Kero was just so easily able to just strut right back in. Because we didn't keep an eye on him. We kept an eye on a bunch of other things, but not him. And if we can't do anything about Kero, what's stopping anybody else from coming back in? What's stopping any other problematic individual from just showing up and causing harm? We're failing as a fandom. We're failing as a community if we can't just do this one simple thing. I think it's good that a lot of people are sounding off on their views on Kero and they're making their voices heard. It's a good thing. But I think on the whole, I think we need to bring keeping on watch for zoophiles and pedophiles and how they harm our fandom and our reputation on top priority again. Sorry, I went a little too long on there, but yeah.
Oh, you're fine. No, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh, good.
But no, I think that's a great point that you made.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only hope that we as a community do a better job at outing and removing those people who are pedophiles and zoophiles and engage in disgusting acts against children and animals. We've seen a much better job at it over the past few years since the initial release of the Kero stuff, which is good. But there's a lot more work that we need to do as a community.
Yeah, there is. There absolutely is. And I would just like expand that to ensure that our community is safe for not just us, for not just us that just want to enjoy being, a fluffy animal, but also for the most vulnerable people, the most vulnerable beings in our community. Because there are people that aren't minors. They aren't animals. They can consent, but they don't quite understand. There are people that get harmed every day by very problematic individuals, and we could have stopped it. We could have said something and said, You know what? That dude really rubs me the wrong way. And all it does, it starts something. It at least starts something. Like I know that there are very problematic people within, this local furry community that we're in, in this tri-state, well, actually, yeah, tri-state and one federal district area. I know there are problematic individuals, but we don't speak up about them. We don't speak up about them. They're allowed to roam free and hurt more people, and we still don't speak up about them. And I think we need to do better to note where these people are. What are they doing in the fandom? Why are they here? And if they're being problematic, we need to tell people that. Not just tell the community that, but we need to tell the proper authorities when it happened. We need to be brave enough to speak up about these things, so that people like Kero don't slip through the cracks. That's the biggest issue, is that people in the furry fandom, they just slip through the cracks because nobody spoke up when it was relevant. They bring stuff up like this way, way, way later, and it's just not relevant. There's no investigation. There's no warrant. There's, nothing happens. And they just continue to strut around like they did nothing wrong. And the cycle of harm continues. But nevertheless, Kero, you're a disgusting piece of shit, and you really need to just leave. I mean, I know that he wants to regain his spotlight from 2 years ago, but dude, no, you're not getting that back. You shouldn't be getting that back. For anybody that still believes Kero is innocent, I implore you to take into account and think long and hard what Kero is saying to you and what everybody else is saying. If anything, go through the evidence yourself. I've been saying that for a lot. To see the evidence yourself, look at the evidence yourself, make a decision for yourself, be a thinking human being. Don't just accept Kero's word as gospel. That's what so many people in Kero's circle are doing. They're just accepting every word he says as the truth. And we've found that he cannot be trusted. He's told lies multiple times. And yet people still believe every word he says, even now. He's not a very trustworthy person. And so that's why I'm saying to everybody, look at the evidence. If you don't believe, if you're not willing to take the opposition's word, if you're not willing to investigate that, look at the evidence yourself, make a decision yourself, because there's plenty of evidence out there. Like, holy shit. And it's still out there. Just because Kero did not get charged by a police agency, or because they couldn't find any crime that they could prosecute him with, doesn't mean he's innocent. He's not innocent. He did something. The problem is he slipped through the cracks. He got off on technicalities. He got off on things that aren't in the penal code. This doesn't automatically mean he's an innocent, sweet boy that did nothing wrong. And lastly, do you really want to be the person who says with a straight face, oh yeah, he probably had some dog porn on his computer, but that's not a crime. Or he may have fucked a dead deer that was hit by a truck, but that's not a crime. Do you really want to be that dude? Is that the hill that you really want to die on? Because it's certainly not the hill I want to die on.
Yeah, you should not die on that hill. Nobody should. I don't know why anybody would be so eager to die on a hill like that.
I'm worried. I'm wondering about the people who are so eager for more Kero the Wolf content. I'm sorry for the people that actually got a lot of enjoyment out of Kero's content before all of this came to light. Because you honestly trusted Kero as someone who brought you entertainment. And he let you down. He let you down, and he's not being forthright about it either. So he's continuing to let you down. I'm just worried that you're not going to see it that way. I think we're running close on time, aren't we?
Yes, we are. We are actually 56 minutes in.
Okay, that's yeah. Do you have any last words you want to say?
All I can say is that Kero, you should do yourself and everybody else a favor and just leave. Don't come back. Delete everything and get help, because you are a sick individual. You need the best kind of help to get over your sick fantasies of wanting to do these unspeakable acts against defenseless animals. And so...
one more thing. There was an earlier altercation where Kero was being interviewed by a YouTuber, and the YouTuber got swatted. Kero,
oh yeah, I heard about that.
Kero, you tried to blame Beta and Majira for that swatting. This isn't because of them. There's a very big difference between a person telling all their followers, hey, don't support this person. This person's pretty sick in the head. And saying, hey, go after this dude because they're interviewing Kero the Wolf, who is sick in the head. There's an ocean of difference between those two statements. And the fact that you have the audacity to claim that there is a cabal of furries who hate you so much, a cabal of popular furries that hate you so much that they would much rather go after the people around you than you yourself. This is getting deep into conspiracy theory time. And if you believe that, that's even more of a reason. That's even more of a reason for you to go seek help.
I think it was a false flag. I think he was the one who swatted the YouTuber. I think he was the one who did it to gain sympathy points.
Again, he needs help. If he did it, if somebody around him did it, if somebody else entirely did it, he needs help. Because all I'm seeing is somebody who is not right in the head. No matter what you believe out of him, he's not some victim of cancel culture. He's not this innocent being that did nothing wrong. He slipped through the cracks. Do you really want to defend that? Take a long, hard thought about what you're defending when you defend Kero. Because I'm pretty sure you're going to have a very nasty taste in your mouth by the time you're done. And with that, I'm just going to call it a night. Thank you very much for joining us on this exciting episode of Furry Frequencies. If you like what you hear, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to our episodes on YouTube. And also hit that bell for more notifications on our newest episode uploads. And also go ahead and follow us on Twitter at Furry Frequency for more updates and shenanigans. We are approaching very closely our 100th episode, and we still have nothing to do with it.
We'll figure out something.
Don't worry. We'll figure out something. Even if it's like something simple as, hey, there's a new Jollibee opening. Let's go there and just eat chicken for an hour. I mean, hey, it's something. Right?
I mean, it's something. And I know you've been trying to get me to try their chicken.
I'm craving that Chicken Joy. I'm craving that Chicken Joy. I've heard it got better because they got 2 locations opening in the general area, and it's like, I want my Chicken Joy. I've been waiting too damn long for Chicken Joy. Damn it! Jollibee, please sponsor us. Thank you. We would love to sponsor you and eat chicken and eat Chicken Joy and say, yeah, this is sponsored by Jollibee. So yeah, just if you're interested in some sponsorships. But anyway, this has been Furry Frequencies. Signing off with Lifty.
And Psylocke.
Thank you for joining us. We have a wonderful evening.